learning how to talk to my body was one of the most mind-blowing, liberating experiences ever. Your body is full of wisdom and knowledge. We don't talk to our bodies enough. And I talk to my body all the time now, and she's always got all the insights, and she will tell you what she needs. He will tell you what he needs, right? So learning all these things as I went along, that is truly what helped me heal my relationship with food, make peace with food, and build my worth and remember how worthy I was. Because we're worthy when we're born. We just get conditioned that we're not, right? So it's like replugging into that. So the last big piece was the self-love piece, which was loving and accepting my body as she was, not feeling I have to lose a certain amount of weight to be good enough, and apologizing to and forgiving myself for everything that I just put myself through, and really like having the self-talk become more positive and encouraging and catching myself when I was negative. So these are big pieces, and this takes time to shift. So be patient on your journey and give yourself grace.
Hey everybody, today I have a very special guest with me who's going to deep dive on emotional eating and the emotional spiritual side of actually getting real results with natural medicine and some of the common missed things, especially for our female group and following out there on how you can start resetting your hormones, help rebuild your digestion in a way that actually works, and start finding food freedom along with food values and food discipline. Amber Romaniuk, thank you so much for being here. And I hope I got that last name right. I know you were just sharing it with me. She's probably like, no.
No,
So,
you're right. That was
I got it.
like exactly right. Thank you.
Hey, there we go. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. So excited to dive in. Can you first tell us, I mean, you're like me, pain to purpose. You went through a lot of health issues, and it looks like we got really bad issues around the same time, back in the early 2010, 11 timeframe, the 14, things like that. And so for the last 12 plus years, you've been helping, a lot of people, but specifically women with hormones, digestion, energy, and emotional eating, which, I mean, man, that was a thing for me. I know a lot of us out there can't get away from bad foods. I used to eat donuts at night, like donuts combos, and then spit them out in the trash can just because I couldn't go to bed without the taste of gluten and sugar, because I
Yeah.
was so addicted. That's a real story for me. And I know a lot out there, if you are somebody who just can't get off the food, can't get off the alcohol, can't get off the gluten, can't get off the sweets, and also just feels lost on what's actually going to work and why, we're going to deep dive. We're going to go over some examples. I know Amber's probably going to have some good ones. I'll give you some good ones of clients where we saw great, great success and why. Lo and behold, Amber, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to be such a great practitioner for women in need.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. So for me, it started at a very young age, and I'll like summarize the journey because you'd spend like hours talking about it. But essentially, it started for me when I was 5, and it was my first day taking the bus. And I got on the school bus, and then the older boys called me fat and ugly, and then the whole bus
Oh,
made fun of me. And
oh,
that really hurt me. Like I took that on so deeply, and that became my identity for the next 20 years. And I thought if perfect strangers are saying it, it must be true. And obviously, I didn't know how to just like let that go. So I fully internalized it. I also grew up in a home, I was the only child, and my mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis before I was born. And so I think a lot of the way that we built our relationship was around food. She had a
mm-hmm,
food addiction. I just didn't know that until I healed my own and observed her habits and patterns.
mm-hmm,
And so she was using food to cope with her diagnosis, and then we would bond over food, and everything was available: the treats, the sweets, the baked goods, the fast food, the like whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, I could eat it. And it just was normal in our household to be able to eat whatever you wanted whenever you wanted. So I became
mm,
addicted to sugar very easily, unknowingly, and kind of was unconsciously emotional eating growing up, soothing with it, comforting with it, because it's so hard watching one of your parents decline out of your control, especially my mom, who was like my idol and I loved her so much.
mm-hmm,
And to just witness her slowly declining and feeling helpless,
mm-hmm.
the food was just that like comfort safety blanket. And then you hit your teens, and I'm getting conditioned by Hollywood, the media, magazines, right? Pop stars, their bodies look perfect, but they're not telling you they're editing everything. So I'm comparing myself, what's wrong with me, trying the Britney Spears diet, trying this diet, like obviously like nightmare stuff. Like I did the gazpacho diet. I hate raw tomatoes and raw onions, and all you could eat for 10 days was that. And I'm like, what am I doing? But this is the kind of stuff you do when you're a desperate, insecure teenager and you just want to be loved, and you're conditioned that your worth is in the way you look, right? Rather than
Mm-hmm.
it being a feeling, right? So then things really hit the fan in my early 20s. I had my first real breakup. I was so upset I could barely eat. I lost weight really quickly. started exercising 2 hours a day, which I don't suggest in the way that I was doing it. And I lost the weight really quickly. And then my period disappeared. And now I'm too thin and I'm more critical. It didn't fix anything like the weight loss magazines say. Once you lose the weight, you're going to finally be happy. That doesn't happen.
Oh.
And then it was like this switch flipped and I went to a barbecue and I ate ice cream cake. And then I ate more ice cream cake. And then I stole the chocolate bar off the table for the s'mores and went to the bathroom and ate it and left and got fast food on the way home. And that was my first memorable binge where I ate until I was so full I was sick. The
Mm.
next 4 months, I gained 80 pounds. I was purging because I thought, well, if I purge, I won't gain weight. I won't be uncomfortable. But obviously, that
Mhm.
was more destructive on my body. I went through a phase of spitting where I would chew and spit food out into the garbage can as well. So I can so relate to that. You want that high so bad.
Mhm.
But I got to the point where I was literally all I was doing was binging and revolving my day around planning my binge, planning the next diet or quick fix, asphyxiating about losing the weight. But, being the heaviest that I had ever been, I felt so unrecognizable, so unworthy, so embarrassed. I didn't want anyone to see me. So I essentially hid at home in shame, aside from having to go to my crappy retail job and like make money to survive. And for me, really, the moment that changed everything because I was in denial. I'm like, it's not a big deal. Food's my friend. It makes me feel good. Right. And we stay in that denial state because it's a comfort zone, even if we're suffering. And then the thought of changing or trying to lose the weight or figure out what was going on and why felt so daunting and overwhelming that it just like I didn't even know where to start. I had no knowledge of anything. And so about a year went by and I started to become aware that I was binge eating. I'm like, I'm identifying that I'm doing this. I stopped purging, which was good. I'm like, if I binge, I have to own that I did that and I'm not taking it a step further. So I took that
Mhm.
ownership responsibility, which was a good first step. But I would throw the food in the garbage because it would obviously like turn me off of wanting to go and dig through my garbage and eat the food. And that particular night, I had finished a binge and I was just laying on my couch in immense pain because I was always eating until I was so full. I was sick, bloated.
Mhm.
My digestion was a war zone, obviously, because I was binging 6, 7 nights a week. And I was going to the organic store to justify why it was healthier. It's not healthier when you're eating a table full of food every night. So I was just laying on the couch in pain, absolute emotional pain, physical pain. Why is this happening? Why am I going through this? And of course, I threw the food in the garbage that night to turn me off from going to it. And about an hour later, I had a little room in my stomach, and that inner critic would always come in and be like, well, if this is the last time you're going to do this, you might
Yeah.
as well just dig through the garbage and grab the food. And so I did. Went into the kitchen, pulled out my garbage, dug through, threw it in the dumpster outside, and went in the dumpster and dug it out and ate it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, who am I?
Yeah.
Why did I just do that? Extreme low point. How is this my life?
Mhm.
And it was just like, that was the moment though that crushed like the suffering. Like the suffering became so big that I could no longer stay in this unknown of like, oh my gosh, well, I don't know what to do to deal with it. And the denial got crushed. It's like, no, this is a big deal. I'm slowly
Yeah.
killing myself. I don't think I'm going to make it to 30 if I keep up this level of destructive behavior and negative self talk and self attack. Right.
Mhm.
So that moment really inspired me to be like, I need to figure this out. And that was a very important moment for me.
And a lot of people, just because a lot of us go through this for a variety of reasons. You can have inflammatory bowel disease, you can have irritable bowel syndrome, you could have constipation, diverticulitis, hernias,
Hmm.
gastritis, and still have this problem because the root of the problem is the addiction to the food and the
Hmm.
self-worth. And I want to make space for all our parents, like anyone out there who's going through this. Why me? I can't eat gluten, I can't have dairy, I can't have salads, and then I'm eating too much or I can't process foods are addicting. Back in the 50s, you couldn't do this.
Hmm.
So a mother could have her 3 or 4 kids and they would raid the fridge after playing outside, and there was only so much you could eat.
Yeah.
There was only so many packages or wrappers that you could even open or buy at the store.
Yeah.
So in defense of our parents, their parents and their parents before them never had to monitor food
No.
like you and I, our parents. The
Yeah.
90s babies, the 80s
Yeah.
babies. It was a brand new thing. They didn't even know they were in that challenge
Totally.
until it was almost too late and until there was a massive addiction.
Yeah.
So I tried to, say that because I grew up and I had similar addictions where everything I had was cereal, Life cereal,
Yeah.
Subway sandwiches, Papa John's pizza, Domino's, Lunchables, combo packs, donuts, and I could keep myself under control with weight because I'd go run and play sports and eat. It was all macros.
Mm-hmm.
But I love what you're saying about just one, thank you for your honesty and integrity of what you went through, because I think it's really hard for people to step up and tell the world that, yeah, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us listening have been through stuff where lost control of bowel movements or eat food we
Yeah.
shouldn't or severe addictions. And if you are going to fix your gut health, you have to fix your relationship with food, period. So
100%.
this is
Yeah,
important. You've got to
it
look at that
is.
and making space first, making space.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't ask for this. We didn't make this addictive, chemically based Cheeto, Dorito, Oreo food. Like, this is
No.
not even food. It's laboratory, fake, poisonous stuff they sell at a supermarket.
Yeah, totally. It's justifiable though because it's cheap and it tastes good and it's quick and it's available everywhere. And it's funny because I had irritable bowel syndrome at the time, and obviously like my system was just like completely angry with me, but I didn't care. And that's the thing, when you're addicted, you don't care about
Mm-hmm.
the physical pain you're causing to yourself, the harm to your body, because you want the dopamine high. I was chasing that high and that pleasure and numbing and shoving down because I was afraid to feel my emotions. So I was shoving everything down. And even when I started to like heal, I would have times where I'd stop binge eating for a few weeks, but then my digestive system would it would flare up and I would be swollen for like 12 days, 10 days, so swollen
Mm.
that I looked like 8 months pregnant, and nothing I did would help it get better. And that became a binge eating trigger because I'm just like, well, screw it. I'm already
That,
bloated. Who cares? I might as well go eat the stuff. So my physical
mm,
symptoms partially became binge eating triggers. My hormone imbalances became binge eating triggers. So it was not only that like unworthiness and the addictive food, I was starting to discover, wow, you can have physical imbalances, and like the whole victimhood of my body's out to get me. She's against me. Like, what's the point? Right? Like, all of that was making my body more reactive. And the more I reacted, the more she reacted. And then the more I self sabotaged, the more she reacted. And it's just like this big fight. Right. So when I started to learn about food and started to eat differently, but I still wanted to binge on gluten free pasta and goat cheese and dairy free alternatives and like 10 bananas and like a jar of natural peanut butter, I'm like, this is more than just about the food. But I was learning about the corruption in the food industry, and it was mind blowing to realize there was people out there that wanted people sick on purpose. And I was
mhm.
like, I'm going to use this as a motivator. But anyway, so then that's when I went into more of the emotional healing, which was huge. I had to get honest with myself, not hard on yourself, people, honest, which
Mhm.
is like, I need to be honest with myself in that I hate myself. I don't feel worthy. I'm afraid to feel my emotions. I have no
Mhm.
idea what's triggering me. I need to figure that out. And I don't have any healthy ways to cope. So I'm
Mhm.
going to start slowly to find healthy ways to cope.
Mm.
I'm going to try and figure out what's triggering me to go to food. I am going to put a timer on my phone for 30 seconds and just sit and feel if I'm triggered. And
Mhm.
fear was the first emotion that I sat through for 30 seconds and felt. And I came out the other side of it and the world didn't break in half. I literally had convinced myself something so bad was going to happen if I felt my emotions. And so giving myself these opportunities to get really courageous and go, I'm going to just feel for 30 seconds. Wow, I did it. It built confidence. Ooh, I'm in the parking lot getting ready to go and get my binge food, and I talk myself out of it and go home and like avoid a binge. Like, wow, there's a confidence builder. And now I'm understanding what's triggering me. So as I figured these things out and identified triggers and start feeling my emotions and brought in like self-care practices and nervous system calming tools, just even getting out in nature and getting sunshine and my feet in the grass, journaling about how I was feeling,
Mhm.
learning how to talk to my body was one of the most mind-blowing, liberating experiences ever. Your body is full of wisdom and knowledge. We don't talk to our bodies enough. And I talk to my body all the time now, and she's always got all the insights, and she will tell you what she needs. He will tell you what he needs, right? So, learning all these things as I went along, that is truly what helped me heal my relationship with food, make peace with food, and build my worth and remember how worthy I was. Because we're worthy when we're born. We just get conditioned that we're not, right? So, it's like replugging into that. So, the last big piece was the self love piece, which was loving and accepting my body as she was, not feeling I have to lose a certain amount of weight to be good enough,
Mhm.
and apologizing to and forgiving myself for everything that I just put myself through,
Mhm.
and really like having the self-talk become more positive and encouraging and catching myself when I was negative. So these are big pieces and this takes time to shift. So be patient on your journey and give yourself grace. But binge eating, emotional eating, food addiction, binge purge cycles, they are so much more complex than what we have been taught. And we haven't been properly taught and equipped on how to deal with these things. And because food is so normalized to overconsume, whether it's like someone bragging about eating a whole pizza, or you can watch, YouTubers that are professional eaters over consuming
Oh,
seriously crazy amounts of food, and they're literally making millions of dollars. Like, it's been so normalized,
hmm
right? So and you can't quit food. We have to eat. You can quit alcohol, you can quit smoking, but you can't quit eating. So it brings another tier to this healing.
hmm there was a big takeaway I wanted to emphasize what you just said is taking 30 seconds to say, how do I feel? And I don't think people realize what to do with that. For instance, could you describe when you're in that trigger?
Hmm.
This trigger can be for things, food, pornography,
Hmm.
anger,
Hmm.
violence. There's a lot of different things, self-harm. We have triggers. What always helped me with that food is I would just try to describe and tell someone. I feel like I'm triggered to eat gluten. I feel like I'm triggered to eat sugar or fast food, processed food, because I grew up on all that and I had to divorce it. I use the word divorce because it's so emotionally big
Hmm.
and it's like a covenant you had with sad foods, standard American diet food, right? And for me, it was like, I want to hear how you described it, but I sat there 30 seconds. It was like I was having an anxiety attack, or it was like my body was it was like it was like my body felt like there was someone chasing me.
Hmm.
It was this heightened sense of fear that made my heart go, make me move, and I needed to release the energy. And the only way I knew how was to eat the food.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm on a high, and it's all addiction. See, I
Hmm.
think if people don't realize you didn't sign up to be someone who was addicted to something. It was a hidden problem in your society
Hmm. Yeah.
that no one even knew. And we wake up and go, wait, I'm addicted to chemically based poison food.
Hmm.
So you didn't wake up and say, well, I'm going to get addicted to cigarettes and now I have to deal with cigarettes. So you kind of know when you're smoking
Yeah.
the cigs, you're preparing for it.
Yeah, totally.
You and I were going, wait, I didn't sign up for this. Wait,
Yeah.
it's just bread. No, that's not just bread.
Hmm.
It's just a Dorito. It's not just a Dorito.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you have to actually get a degree in what is addiction and how to come off it. Everyone write that down. You are in a game you never signed up for, and you now
Hmm.
have to learn about addiction and eliminating addiction that's colorful and made to be addictive and made to taste great.
100%.
So for you, when in those 30 seconds, you're binging, can you describe how it felt for you? Could you put it into some words that you think?
Hmm.
And there's no
Yeah.
perfect way to put it in words, but what would you say?
Yeah. So there's kind of two roads. So when I first tried to start feeling my emotions, I was in a huge fight or flight stress response because I'm like, this isn't safe. This is uncomfortable. I'm used to going to food. This is so out of my realm to try and sit and feel. And fear is one of the most uncomfortable emotions for me to feel. Oh my gosh, my mind's like, something bad's going to happen. You should just go to food. It's your safety blanket. It's going to everything will be okay if you just go eat. So you should just go do that. This is bad. This is wrong. Like, this is not what you do. And that's the dialogue that kept trying to justify why I should keep going to it. You're going to feel good. Remember the last time you did it, you felt so good, right? Because the hippocampus, pleasure memory center of the brain, is reminding us of the pleasure we felt those first few seconds the last time. So that was
Mm-hmm.
a self-talk, and kind of also an anxiety and a heaviness in my chest, and my breathing would pick up. And so half the time I would go and eat because it just felt easier to give in rather than fight off the craving and that urge. But then when I started to feel, I started to do simple deep breathing, deep breath in, deep breath out, while just feeling through. And I think that reminding myself it's just 30 seconds, just try 30 seconds, and like kind of pep talking myself of like, everything's going to be okay. I am safe. And actually starting to remind myself, this feels really intense, but there's no bear charging toward me to attack me. I'm actually not in danger. I just feel uncomfortable. And there's a big difference. So I'm safe. I'm going to get through this and I'm going to feel through this. And every time I did, I showed myself that, yeah, it was uncomfortable, but that I could get to the other side of it. And that really helped with the confidence. But my ego, I call it the ego, the inner critic, would still be like, yeah, but you could still go and do that. And that's what you do. And right. That voice started to get quieter as I kept catching my triggers. But if I was in the middle of a binge and I could catch it, I'd like be like, okay, put the food down, go into a different room, pull out your journal, start writing down like, what is going on? What am I feeling right now? What are the emotions I'm feeling? what happened the last few days that made me want to self-sabotage? Did I have a stressful day at work? Did I not get enough sleep? Am I dehydrated? Did I binge last night so my cravings are like 10 times bigger today?
Mm-hmm.
And that honestly, like asking yourself, like, what's triggering me or what is fueling my emotional hunger, it honestly helps you explore so many answers and get to the root of your triggers.
Yeah.
And that's one of the questions I get my clients to ask themselves right off the bat, and anyone listening, like before you go to food, is this physical or emotional hunger? Because when you can clarify that difference and realize how much you're going to food for emotional hunger, it is a game changer in starting to catch and shift away from using food.
Mm-hmm. You talked about, once you're able to sit with how you feel and start analyzing it, start journaling on it, you've got to find ways to substitute. You got to give yourself something else, because if you just sit on the couch, it gets tough. You have to do something. Things for me, I don't know, you mentioned journaling. Also for me, cold water does great for me. Cold water, gardening. Take shoes off, feet in the actual ground, shirt off. I live in Southern California, so I can get that sun. And if I can get sun, even start sweating a little bit, put on positive music and start hedging the plants. And that just did wonders for me. Going on a walk, it just takes it. Going on a walk and calling somebody who makes me laugh a good friend. Laughter and connection to something will make you feel safe. I think you're right. It's a sense of insecurity or fear or panic, and then you want to run to that bad thing. And if you can just speak with someone that you love and connect with, and then get outside, I think it's just addiction 101 can really make a difference.
Yeah, nature's huge because one of the reasons we go to food is because we're so ungrounded and our energy is so outside of us, and we think that food's gonna like bring us back in, but it actually doesn't. It compromises our frequency more and compromises our ability to ground more. So when you're saying you get into the gardening and you're in the plants and the dirt and the nature, going for the walk or the cold water, like you are recalibrating your frequency and getting grounded. And the more grounded you are, the more in your power you are, and the less likely you are to want to self-sabotage. I think another thing that's really powerful to help with when you're feeling triggered is to have a list of like 5 to 10 things to go to, whether it's things that comfort you, whether it's taking, some time in meditation, breath work, EFT tapping, that is a game changer as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And sacred rage. Okay. Have you ever done sacred rage?
I've never heard of that one. Sacred
Ooh.
rage.
Okay, so when you're feeling this buildup of a lot of intense emotion, because obviously if you've been in addiction, you've been suppressing a lot of stuff.
Anyone with, who's living life is going to get to
Yeah,
this
pretty
point
much.
at some point. Yeah,
True. So what you do is you put on a timer for 5 minutes and you think about and feel it all, and you beat up your pillow and you scream into it. Or you could drive in the car and scream, or go into the woods and scream, but 5 minutes, you release so much, which allows for your body to get back into rest and digest. You feel so calm afterward because you've just let go of who knows how many years worth of stuff. So maybe you work up to that one, but I find that my clients love that one. They're like, if nothing else works, sacred rage is the thing that will help them let it go.
Yeah. And I think another thing you're talking about here that's really big, and I'm a big proponent of, I've really built my own career on this, is the ability to be relatable. When you have someone who is hyper relatable to what you're going through, it can just help with trust. You can say the real thing. You cannot be judged in the real thing. If the person's actually gone through that or worse, it just can do wonders for you. And so, guys, also, if you're interested in even getting connected with Amber and who she is and how you can help with, digestive issues, emotional eating, hormone, click the link below, and we'll make sure you guys get scheduled with Amber. But, it's something else I want to talk about is, getting results. For me, one of the biggest things in the world is I just think there's a lot of talk online, and there's a lot of people just talk. And, well, let me take you to the history of this, and let me tell you about all the context of why these things are bad. It's like, no. How do we get results? Show me results. Like, show me how to shoot the shot. Show me examples of shooting the shot. I'd love to talk about some case studies in which you were able to see fantastic results with certain clients dealing with IBS or constipation, GI issues, and then eating disorders, body shaming. And what are, do you have one off the bat you could share on some highlights on what really worked for them and how they went forward? Yeah.
Totally. So I had a
Good.
client, she had IBS and she was only moving her bowels once a week. It's heavily constipated,
Shoosh.
right?
Yeah.
Emotionally eating, binge eating really. So essentially what happened was we started to obviously work on helping her identify her triggers, because the more she binged, the more inflamed she became, the more that inhibited her thyroid function. And we discovered she had quite the hypothyroid imbalance that was heavily contributing to her constipation,
Mm-hmm.
aside from the IBS. And so starting to help her catch her triggers, bring in healthier ways to cope, mindful eating practice. Oh my goodness, slowing down, eating intentionally, putting your fork down between bites, distraction free. That made a huge difference for her and her bloating. And then what we started to do is hormonally, we had to support her thyroid. So we got her on the proper nutrients, supplementation, foods, Brazil nuts, seaweed, like a good thyroid, multivitamin, selenium, iodine, all that good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
to start supporting her T3 and T4 because they're both too low, bringing those up. And then we also had to really work on bringing her stress hormones down. Her cortisol was far too high, and that was one of the things that was triggering the thyroid imbalance and the constipation. So ensuring that we were working on what I call regulating your nervous system, feeling more peace and calm. So bringing in like chamomile, holy basil, passion flower, ashwagandha,
There
some
we
B
go.
vitamins. But again, the breath and the nervous system regulating practices, we actually had to adjust her movement routine because she was over exercising. So being
Mm.
willing to have a more healthy relationship with movement, have rest days, prioritize sleep. And then from a gut standpoint, well, her gut flora was a mess because she had taken several rounds of antibiotics.
Mm.
So we started to do really good gut flora balancing with probiotics. She was also vegan at the time, which was just stressing her system out more because of all the fibers that were so harsh that she was trying to get her protein from.
Mm-hmm.
So she was actually open to starting to integrate eggs, fish,
Mm-hmm.
bone broth, some things. Then we got her into chicken and beef and things down the road. So just had to ease her in at her pace. And as we did this, her bloating went away. She had eczema, it went away. Her bowels would go
Wow.
from once a week to every other day to every day. And she messaged me and she's
Hey.
like, I can poop every day. And I'm like, I knew you would. Right. And the doctor just wanted to give her X-Lax and be like, well, I don't know what's wrong with you. So I'm like, right. So this is the miracles that happen. Like women with all kinds of chronic gut issues, they finally heal because if you are self-loathing and you are hanging on to the past, you are going to be constipated and your body's going to be in a stress response, even without getting into the physical healing of the body. If you're fighting with your body, you hold a lot of guilt, shame, anger, resentment, grief in the gut.
Yep.
So we want to work on letting those things go and helping you work with your body so that you can heal on a deeper level and be symptom free, or get to a really good place of management. So healing your relationship with food honestly opens the door to be able to do deeper healing with these physical health imbalances and building your worth.
I love it. Highlighting some of this stuff because you said a ton there, and some people go, "Wait,
Mhm.
what did she say?" First off, one of the big things I heard that I want you guys to really absorb: customization.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Yes.
take the best doctors in the world. I don't care if they just
Yeah.
put you on these 5 products, these 3 alternative therapies, this one type of diet. The chance of you getting success is like 50, 40%, maybe
Mm-hmm.
30. You cannot generically get massive results. I've worked with thousands of people. I'm sure Amber's worked with 10. You
Yeah.
have to meet the person where they're at. They have to be able to hear you, understand it, meet you where you're at, and help you along the way. She didn't say she took her off vegan and demanded she was a
Mm-hmm.
carnivore or meat eater in a day or two. No. It was an agreement between both of them to find protein from certain sources and a certain amount of the protein when she was ready with that. And she had to
Mm-hmm.
build trust first with other things. That's big. 2, you got to get happy to get healthy first. Until you get involved with your emotions, understand that your emotions do affect your physical body, your nervous system, your digestion. If you're just scarfing down food, you're not getting digestive enzymes, you're not getting
Mm-hmm.
engaged parasympathetic, which means your stomach acid's not high, your pancreas isn't going to be working as well. Just the whole thing's not going to be as good, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of what you said, I think, is just it's foundational to get out of that stress, to engage the parasympathetic. If you're not salivating when you eat, you're not digesting.
Mm-hmm.
So those are going to be really big. And for me, I just go back to that feeling when I was chronically sick, stuck in a house, couldn't move. Man, I had to pray. I had to get outside and
Mm-hmm.
I had to put Bob Marley on when I made that food. And I just had to find ways to enjoy the same food I had eaten for like 8 months straight because I was on such
Yeah.
a strict nutrition plan and my body couldn't handle anything. But you can find love. You can dance in the rain.
Yeah.
You can dance in
100%.
the rain. And so I think that's one thing you also said right there is you started with the emotional. And I think a lot of people sleep on that. They want to say, I'm going to start with the food, but you can't even have success with the food if you don't deal with the emotional because you're going to
No.
quit. You're going to cheat. You're going to lie, which is what this podcast has been about. And if you think that you've got your emotions under control, how many times a week are you apologizing to yourself or others? You're apologizing because you don't have control of what you do and you keep making bad decisions because the emotions are overwhelming your mind and you're doing things that are not good for you. You know better. We know better, right? I think, Amber, that's a big highlight. We know better, but we can't stop.
Yeah. 100%.
I can't stop the fight. I can't stop staying up till 2 a.m. I can't stop eating that food.
Yep.
Right? I can't stop self-loathing. I can't stop the victimhood.
Yep. 100%.
So you're saying, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to help you forgive. I'm going to help you start finding, understanding, be aware of the negative things, and then find peace in yourself. Then we can bring in the supplements, the stool labs, labs, supplements, alternative protocol, thyroid, liver, right? You got to start with that foundation. What are your thoughts?
I 100% agree with you because something I see, and you can tell me your thoughts on this, but I think maybe just like if you're a practitioner that doesn't understand anything about emotional eating or binge eating or food addiction, you may have a client come in and they're complaining about digestive issues or low energy or bloating or constipation or whatever. And you may do a test and say, oh, you have candida or you have this going on or this going on. So we need to do this elimination diet or this candida protocol. You got to cut out all these things for this to work and you have to do it for 3 months. If you as the client haven't told the practitioner you're struggling with binge or emotional eating because you're too afraid to do so, or if the practitioner doesn't understand that restrictive protocols become huge binge and emotional eating triggers, it's so easy to be set up to fail. And I went through that. I was working at a health clinic actually at the tail end of my binge eating, trying to figure out kind of what I wanted to get into with health and wellness. And they tested me for candida, and I had the biggest case in her 12 years of practice that she had ever seen, which doesn't surprise me based on how much of a sugar addict I was and how many antibiotics I had to take as a kid. But anyways, they're like, all you can eat is green vegetables and animal protein. And you have to do this for 6 months and take like Nystatin and all these crazy antifungals. I literally turned yellow because they made me, I was detoxing too fast. And then every other day was like triggered to binge because I hadn't dealt with my emotions or my stressors and it was so restrictive. So I think it's so important to deal with the emotional stuff first because in order to get into that more physical healing state, you can't be hurting your body on a regular, and you do have to find healthy outlets to process emotions. And I also do think there are more balanced protocols to deal with some of these things. I don't think we have to go so extreme just based on results I've seen with my clients. But I just feel like if your thoughts and emotions dictate the way you behave. So if you don't deal with that, like you said, you're going to keep behaving in ways that you know you don't want to. And that's just going to keep this cycle going. So I call it ego mastery, dealing with your inner critic, learning how to catch it. How do you take your power back? How do you take ownership and responsibility? And doing so is going to really help with the rest of the healing because you get more regulated and you get more calm.
I love it. I think what you're saying, here's the big thing I'm hearing everyone should absorb on this. Anyone can tell you to go on a strict diet. Anyone can tell you to take the supplements, and they might be right. But if you don't deal with the foundations of who you are as a emotional being, you're going to fail. Out of everyone I've seen, that kind of diet, 6 months of just meat and some greens, maybe 2 out of 10 of the clients I've seen could just do it for 6 months. They it takes such a discipline mentally. You have to be so strong to do that. Most people are going to fail with that. So even though it might have worked, maybe not, it just wasn't, it's not, I'd say 80% of us just can't get up and do that.
Yeah.
And so if that's you out there, I would say look for a practitioner who's going to relate, who's going to connect, who's going to deal with the emotional, and then also has the skill set to treat the candidiasis, to treat the SIBO, to treat the SIFO, to treat the endotoxins, to treat the leaky gut, to treat the liver being overwhelmed, to treat thyroid. That's a special thing. Because I couldn't do it. Amber, everything you're saying, I would go to these naturopath doctors. When I was young, my mom would spend a fortune flying to these places, and they'd give me stuff that now, looking back, it wasn't bad information. I couldn't do it. They'd say, eat chicken and broccoli and a little bit of this white rice or something for 21 days, and then we'll have another meeting. And I'd be like day 7, like, if I see another piece of chicken, I'm going to throw up
Yeah.
or I'm going to throw it out the window.
Mhm.
And I would quit, binge. You know, for me, it was like, oh, then I'm going to go way off the horses because another $2,000 is gone.
Yeah.
And my mom's screaming at me and she can't do it. I can't do it. She can't even relate with what I'm going through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I really want everyone to put that in, is like, find someone who can ultra relate and hold space for where you are. But you've got to be responsible enough to know what is going on with your body and know where you are emotionally and where you're faltering. And also be willing to pick yourself up and try. It's okay to fail. It's not okay just to lie and cheat and not put it in, because no one can make you healthy but you.
Yeah.
So choose your coach wisely, and your money will be gone the right way. Okay.
100%.
And so moving on, one of the last things I want to talk about is, let's talk about today. What does today look like? How do you like to eat now? I'll share also how I like to eat too.
Yeah.
But you dealt with severe candida. I'm looking at your eyes. I'm looking at the teeth. I'm looking at the tongue. I'm going, I don't see any candida. I can usually look, when you look at someone, you can kind of tell if they're dealing with food allergies or some stuff or swelling. I'm not saying it's perfect, but when you've been doing it long enough, you can kind of get a sense, and you look very healthy. You sound very healthy. You sound great. Tell me. So what does it look like now to keep your microbiome in balance, keep your mind in balance, and find a balanced way to remain symptom-free and live an empowered life?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is I am forever working on my mindset. Binge eating and all that's way behind me, but I am always working on more mastery with living in my power. So if I get uncomfortable, I have the difficult conversations. If I don't want to get vulnerable, I go get vulnerable and express what I need to. I process my emotions regularly. So as example, last week was stressful, things out of my control. I was doing sacred rage every morning and EFT tapping. I get outside as much as I can, feet in the grass, sunshine in my face, hug trees. That's like my vibe. Lots of cuddling with hubby, right? So it's like, it's very much self-expression and making sure that I am allowing myself to feel through things, even if they're uncomfortable, and using my tools to cope. With a food standpoint, I find my body does thrive best minimal grain, minimal bean. I love meat. We live in Alberta. It's like the beef capital of the world. We produce the best beef, apparently.
Oh, love
I've
it.
heard. Yeah. So lots of like, you can go down the road and get like farm fresh eggs or grass fed, grass finished beef, and like meet the farmer and like ask questions. And they're so happy to show their farm. It's so cool. Our turkeys that we get, they play Solveggio frequencies. The turkeys are like high vibe. I just got a turkey for Thanksgiving next weekend. And yeah, they play Solveggio frequencies and the turkeys are walking around in the grass. So it's like super cool to have access to that kind of food so easily. And I eat lots of fruits and veggies and lots of good fats, avocados. I love avocados, eggs, but like, and then I make a lot. If I want something like a cake or a loaf or something, I make it. I find hubby and I thrive best mostly gluten and dairy free, just because of all the stuff that's in the wheat and dairy here.
There you
We do
go.
lots of goat and sheep products. And yeah, I love beef protein powder. So I bake with it. It's so good and like cake. So that's how we eat most of the time. And then, yeah, we go out and enjoy things here and there. But I like to keep my frequency as attuned as possible. And I don't care to make myself feel poorly. And there's just so many things out there like that have seed oils and like all the garbage. And I just don't feel like having brain fog for 3 days. So that's what makes us feel best. But we can eat what we want, and I don't mind making it because I know where it's coming from.
Okay, well, anyone who knows me just felt like Dane said that. So I'm just going to echo everything you said, but some real big highlights. I can eat what I want. You just described how anyone ate in the 1950s who had access to nutrient-dense food, and farm, local eggs, local beef. The grains, and that's more paleo style AIP or specific carbohydrate diet. A lot of us do tend to have a harder time, especially if you have a background in IBD, IBS, with polysaccharide grains, beans. And again, we mill our own flour. We like to make our own stuff. It is store-bought bread is a problem, no matter how you slice it. Okay, pun intended. You have to, if you really want to eat that stuff and you want to get to this next level, you need to be making your own breads. And if you can make your own flour, even better. And I think I felt that energy off there, like you were saying, I can eat what I want. It's not a prison. It's not a diet.
No.
Amber's not on a diet. I'm not on a diet. I just divorced all the fake, gooey craziness that was installed in our society. And Amber did the same thing. We just divorced it. And she found a partner who wanted to live that way. My partner wants to live that way too.
Totally.
My wife, we're done. We're lately been done with the partner thing. My wife, she calls me my husband. I call wife out.
Yeah.
And she's just told me lately, she's like, no more partner. I said, okay, fine, wife. And so, yeah, you just kind of, and your body starts craving nutrient dense food. When you get salt, when you get good fat,
oh my gosh,
when you get properly cooked food, your body goes, yeah, this is all I wanted in the first place. And
totally right.
You're like, well, what was that? And then you're talking to a third person body. Well, what were all those addictions about? That was like, well, I was addicted. Sorry.
Yeah, totally different. Totally different. But the ripple effect you can have, because my husband took on my habits and he loves it. And then his dad was to the point where he could barely walk a few years ago. And he's like way too young to be in that case. And they were in the mindset of what you eat does not impact your health. And then he went home to visit them and just planted some seeds. And a month later, they cut out sugar, grain, dairy. His energy was back. He's walking again, pain-free. They cleaned up all the chemicals in the laundry and all that. And then now they're like, we get it. We get it. And they're like doing all the same things, but we didn't tell them. It was just like, you're embodied. People get curious. Maybe they ask some questions and then they start and they feel better. And it's just like, this is the ripple effect. And once you change, like you probably feel the same. You go to the store. I don't desire to buy any of the crap in the bag or the box because it doesn't look like food. It's literally made in a lab. And I also don't want to fund poison companies. I don't want to give my money to companies that don't care about humanity. I want to give my money to the local farmer, to the local gal making like the essential oil-based candles. Like that's who I'm happy to give my money to, right? So
I feel like I'm talking to my twin flame. Exactly. Listen, I don't poison myself. These are the words. I literally say, do you want that pizza? No, I don't poison myself. Chicken is not chicken. Pizza is not pizza. Cheese is not cheese. When you say dairy-free, also, you can have dairy. Get A2 beta-casein cow milk if you try that. But if you want to start with like a cheese or a yogurt, which is fermented properly, then maybe a kefir. And the last thing you're going to try is the milk. Because it's the harshest with higher casein lactose if your body's not ready, dealing with IBS, IBD, gastritis, all those other issues. But this is like, I mean, you just sound emotionally very grounded and healed in this process. And now everyone you touch and everyone you get around is better for it. So everyone listening at the front of this, it's a hard road, but anything worth having in this life is a harder road. And when you get there, you'll be a blessing to everyone around. Amber, someone wants to work with you, and I can see a lot of women should and highly consider working with you with the emotional side and really helping them customize their plan. How does that work?
Thank you so much. Yeah. So essentially, the way I like to invite women in is to book a 30-minute body freedom consultation. It's complimentary and we hop on Zoom. Doesn't matter where you're located. And then we just talk a little bit about what's holding you back, what your goals are, what your relationship with food and body is, emotions, symptoms, and perhaps what you've tried that isn't working and why a different approach could be exactly what you need. And then we talk about, you know, what may be the best fit. Do you want to come into private coaching, group coaching? Is there something kind of you want to dive into that's smaller? But I find most women are just like, you're my person. I'm ready. Let's do this. What's your longest program? Let's get it done. And they just know. And that's what I love about my ladies is they're just ready. They've tried all the junk. They're done. Yeah. They want to do the deeper healing. So that's how we start. And then we, like you said, customize everything to what you need. We do hormone testing. We can do gut testing. We do a full assessment and everything is catered, what I call multidimensionally, to help you heal physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. And then you gain your life back and it has a positive ripple. We save marriages. I've had women save their marriages. All kinds of miracles have happened outside of the physical and emotional healing because they finally stepped into their power. Yeah.
I love it. I think it sounds like a recipe for success. And guys, as someone who's seen, been around this a long, long time, I'm telling you, that's a bullseye. That's a bullseye approach. Amber, I love it. You're going to change lives. Anyone who wants to look at this link below to talk to Amber. Amber, any last words out there for anyone who is still listening and moved by this conversation?
Yeah, you're not alone. Try to forgive yourself for what has been going on and you deserve to heal. So get on the journey. You don't know what kind of magic is going to happen until you get on it.